The latest CDC tracking data on bird flu suggests the virus may be spreading undetected among humans. We also learned this weekend that the number of hospitalizations is up to 4. That doesn't seem like much, and it isn't. But the worry is if the virus is left unchecked, a more substantial health crisis could be looming. Joining me now is CBS News medical contributor and editor-at-large for public health at KFF Health News, Dr. Celine Gounder. Doctor, it's good to be with you again. I just said that about cases. Is that right? Is that the thing to worry about, the bird flu? Not so much individuals, but the fact that it's changing a lot and what that means.
Yeah, I think to answer that question, it would be helpful for people to understand how the virus can change to lead to a bird flu pandemic. So we have a graphic we're going to show on screen here. The bird flu can infect birds as well as mammals, including pigs, cattle, and cats. People can also get infected with the bird flu when they come into close contact with infected animals. So farm workers, for example, are at high risk for infection. At the same time, people can get infected with the regular human flu during winter flu season. So a person could get infected with both the human flu and the bird flu at the same time, especially if, say, they're a farm worker or someone else who comes into close contact with infected animals. Now, the flu is made up of 8 different pieces of genetic material. And when you have different flu strains that infect a person or an animal, at the same time, those flu strains can swap parts. And that's how you get a new hybrid flu strain. And these new hybrid flu strains, they can potentially transmit from person to person and trigger a pandemic.
Right, so we become just this blender in which all of it's mixed up and the new thing comes out. The CDC had been reportedly tracking this bird flu with 2 studies that got stuck in the administration's effort to do a variety of things, but never got out. How much did that concern you that those reports didn't get out?
Well, it's concerning because even with the end of the communications pause, those 2, what they're called MMWR, so these are weekly reports that come out from the CDC, have done so for decades. And this is how the CDC communicates scientific developments with doctors, scientists, people in the field. And those 2 publications are still held up. And one of those reportedly shows that there's been bird flu transmission among cattle that is going under the radar. And this is concerning because this is not the first time also that we've seen political interference with the CDC's weekly publication. This also happened during the COVID pandemic to make the situation with COVID seem rosier than it was. And this is really not what you would call transparency. We need transparency to know, all of us, how to respond.
If you are based out of Delhi NCR, I'm sure it's been a shaky morning for you, quite literally. The people of the national capital woke up to strong tremors as an earthquake of 4.0 magnitude rocked parts of the city, even as earthquakes in Delhi are somewhat of a routine affair in a way, thanks to the location near a seismic zone. Mind you, this was no ordinary earthquake. And why is that? It was not just Delhi NCR which reeled under the impact of such an earthquake, as a similar one also hit Bihar in North India. Let's just talk about Delhi first. When the earthquake struck in the early hours of Monday, residents were jolted out of their sleep, prompting many to rush outdoors from buildings. Even as Delhi was the epicenter, the tremors were felt in areas like Noida, Greater Noida, Ghaziabad. However, what is unique is the fact that a loud rumbling sound followed the earthquake, lasting for seconds before it faded away. What explains that? Experts suggest that this could be the effect of shallow earthquakes, movement in tectonic plates, and several bursts of energy. And how can that be identified, you ask? Well, shallow earthquakes are between 0 to 70 kilometers deep and originate almost 5 or 10 kilometers below the surface, and which tends to cause more damage than those originating deep below the surface of the earth. According to India's National Center for Seismology, or NCS, the earthquake was caused by normal faulting, which is basically a type of ground movement often linked to underground water or past river deposits, weakening the rocks. In Bihar as well, a 4.0 magnitude earthquake hit Siwan district at around 8 a.m. in the morning. But what makes Delhi so particularly vulnerable to earthquakes? Delhi is placed in seismic zone 4. in the seismic zoning map of India, the second highest in the country when it comes to risk category, which exposes the region to moderate to high risk seismic activity due to Himalayan earthquakes. The earthquakes in Delhi are also a result of the movement of the Indian plate and local fault systems, with the soft alluvial soil lining the region further, amplifying seismic waves and making tremors feel stronger than their actual magnitude. And this is hardly the first instance. As in the past, Delhi and its surrounding areas have experienced notable earthquakes, some of the strongest being 7.5 magnitude Garhwal Himalaya earthquake in 1803, 7.8 magnitude earthquake in Nepal in 2015, and a few moderate earthquakes from the Hindu Kush region. But this only seems to be the tip of an iceberg, as scientists warn that a powerful earthquake of over 8.0 magnitude in the Himalayas is overdue, which could have devastating consequences for Delhi and northern India. But the more important and critical question is Delhi even prepared for an earthquake of such a scale? Are the buildings, many of which are old constructions and happen to be inadequately spaced out, even equipped to handle the tremors of big quakes? And if they are not, what is the way forward? Experts suggest retrofitting older buildings, enforcing stricter seismic codes, and improving earthquake preparedness are the only means to mitigate potential damage in the future. Can Delhi survive another high voltage jolt like the one it experienced today? Only time will tell.
First and foremost, there was no loss of life. And this is in due part to our heroic and trained professionals, our first responders at the airport. So the facts of the matter around this event that happened at approximately 2:30 p.m. is Delta Airlines Flight 4819 from Minneapolis to Toronto, operated by subsidiary Endeavour Air, was involved in a single aircraft accident upon landing at Toronto Pearson. The plane was carrying 4 crew and 76 passengers, among them 22 Canadians. The other passengers were multinational. Airport emergency workers mounted a textbook response, reaching the site within minutes and quickly evacuating the passengers. 17 injured passengers were quickly taken to local area hospitals. At this time, we do not know of any of those passengers having critical injuries. We immediately halted further arrivals and departures on our remaining 3 runways. Those runways were reopened at approximately 5 p.m. The other runways are remaining to serve the investigation, which will be carrying forward for the rest of tonight and into the next several days.
Cyber attacks in India are rising fast, far above the global average. The dark web is fueling this surge. And as threats grow, the question is India prepared to fight back? Let's take a closer look in this report.
India is facing an unprecedented surge in cyber attacks, surpassing the global average. Critical sectors, businesses and individuals remain at high risk, with cyber criminals exploiting vulnerabilities to steal data and launch ransomware attacks. A key driver behind the rise is the dark web, an anonymous online marketplace for illegal transactions. Reports indicate that the dark web accounts for 5% of the entire internet, with around 2.5 million daily visitors in 2023. Nearly 56.8% of its content is linked to illegal activities, including financial fraud and cybercrime. This growing underground economy is fueling data breaches, identity theft, and the sale of stolen digital assets. The dark web plays a crucial role in modern cybercrime, with businesses being prime targets. Reports show that approximately 543 million digital assets linked to Fortune 1000 employees are available for sale. Ransomware-related breaches have doubled each year over the past 2 years, significantly impacting financial stability and corporate reputation. Cyber criminals operate through highly structured online marketplaces, offering stolen credentials, fake identities, and hacking tools. Prices are alarming. A package of 1,000 malware attacks costs $5,000. Cloned credit cards with pins are available for $25, and stolen PayPal accounts with a $100 balance sell for just $30. In India, 20% of cyber crimes involve dark web transactions, with telecom data from 750 million users recently leaked online. Despite India contributing 26% of the dark web's user base, awareness remains low. Within BRICS nations, only 28% of people are familiar with how the dark web operates. Hacktivist activities are also on the rise, with attackers leaking sensitive data when ransom demands go unmet. Experts warn that weak cybersecurity measures and rapid digitalization make Indian businesses an easy target. Cryptocurrencies remain central to cybercrime, facilitating anonymous transactions on the dark web. Bitcoin remains the dominant currency, though alternatives like Litecoin and Dash are gaining popularity. Efforts indicate that crypto-enabled financial crime surged 70% year-on-year, with India contributing 6.9% of global cyber attacks. To counter these risks, experts suggest stronger regulations. On the front, India has taken steps to strengthen cybersecurity. The Digital Personal Data Protection Act provides a legal framework for safeguarding personal data and raising awareness. Union Home Minister Amit Shah has emphasized the need for joint efforts by law enforcement agencies to tackle cyber threats linked to the dark web, cryptocurrencies, and online marketplaces. But with artificial intelligence at the helm of business affairs, the response has to be swift and proactive. Business Bureau, WION, World is One.
Israel's Security Cabinet is today discussing phase 2 of the ceasefire deal between Israel and Hamas. Meantime, an Israeli team has traveled to Cairo to discuss the implementation of phase 1. Now, that same team will be getting instructions on the second phase of this ceasefire agreement once the cabinet meeting has ended. Meantime, Marco Rubio, the new U.S. Secretary of State, is traveling on to Saudi Arabia after a meeting with the Israeli Prime Minister in Jerusalem yesterday, in which he endorsed Donald Trump's controversial plan to take control of the Gaza Strip and forcibly expel 2 million Palestinians. Meantime, Egypt is proposing a plan of its own that would involve Palestinians staying in place, but that excludes Hamas from the process, a reconstruction and revitalization plan. Now, the expansion of Israeli settlements in the West Bank is going apace, with 1,000 new housing units approved in a Jewish settlement inside the occupied territory.
This Palestinian man is reunited with his family in Khan Yunis after being jailed in Israel for nearly a year. 39-year-old medic and father of 2, Tarek Rabi Safi, was released on Saturday, along with 368 other Palestinian detainees as part of a ceasefire deal between Israel and Hamas. Safi was detained on March 3, 2024, and brought to an Israeli detention center, where he says he was physically tortured and underfed by his captors. There was no decent food or drinks or medical treatment. My arm was broken, and they did not treat me. They did not get me checked by a doctor, he says. He adds that a young man who was in the same room as him had died as a result of the treatment. Safi's wife, Abdallah, is grateful that wasn't her husband's fate. I thank God who brought back my husband in good health, she says. The happiness is indescribable. It is difficult to describe the feeling. Reuters was unable to independently establish the accuracy of the accounts of mistreatment provided by Safi and the other detainees it interviewed. The Israeli military rejected claims of torture in an emailed response to Reuters, saying detainees are given food and drink and have access to medical care. They said they are aware of incidents of detainee deaths, but cannot comment as investigations are pending. The Palestinian Prisoner Association, which documents Israeli detentions of Palestinians, say Israel is carrying out systematic crimes and revenge attacks against prisoners.
On this President's Day, instead of honoring past presidents, people across the country use the holiday to protest the current commander-in-chief's policies.
CBS 47 Sydney Charles joins us now live in studio to share how Fresno community members took part today. Sydney.
Brian, it is being called No Kings on President's Day by the 50-51 movement. Now, in the city of Fresno, about 100 people were a part of this protest. Community members advocated for a wide range of issues, and most I spoke with shared that they are frustrated with recent actions taken by the Trump administration.
Hey, hey, ho, ho, Trump and Musk get back.
Demonstrators gathered in front of Fresno City Hall saying the Trump administration is out of touch with current events.
It's 50 protests in 50 states for one cause, to get our federal government to be more accountable in the things that are happening currently.
Community members calling for an end to what organizers say are the anti-democratic and illegal actions of President Donald Trump.
And I came here to feel agency, because I feel powerless in the face of the onslaught from our current administration. We did elect the current president, so he is my president, but I don't agree with him.
Community advocate Jennifer Cruz says massive federal layoffs led by Elon Musk's Department of Government Efficiency and the rollback of diversity, equity, and inclusion programs are just a few things being protested. In Fresno County, Supervisor Gary Bredefield led the charge to remove DEI language from government job applications.
Because we saw last week the Bredefield trying to remove diversity, equity, inclusion from their hiring practices. We need to stop this in Fresno County and let them know it's not okay.
Bredefield says he thinks DEI initiatives are prejudicial.
It should be replaced by equality, merit, and colorblindness. Basically, people should be hired who are the most qualified, regardless of your race, the color of your skin, your sex.
Bredefield also applauds the job Musk is doing and believes it's time to stop what he describes as wasteful government spending.
They're going to come up with billions, if not trillions of dollars that are wasted. This is our taxpayer money. It's everyone's taxpayer money, and we all want it to be spent appropriately, not on woke, radical ideology across.
And this is the second community rally led by the 50-51 movement. Organizers say they believe it's only the beginning of what's to come. Reporting live in the studio, Sydney Charles, CBS 47 Eyewitness News.
Elon Musk has got to go! Elon Musk has got to go! Do your job! Do your job!
I really wish that Congress would actually do their job, as people are chanting, and do something about the fact that this is an unelected citizen who has all this power of the government. He doesn't know what he's doing. He has no experience working in government. He shouldn't be doing any of this. And the fact that Trump is allowing this or encouraging this is terrifying.
No king, no crown. We the people won't back down.
We're here because we're trying to protest the overreach that President Trump and Elon Musk are using to ruin our government and ruin our image around the world, honestly, because we fought for a strong America that helps people, that does the right thing, and we want to make sure that we maintain that legacy for future generations.
Do your job. Do your job.
I live in Texas, but I came to D.C. to speak for the children and for all of the young people who deserve a bright future and do not deserve to live in an autocratic world.
China hit back at the US State Department on Monday after it removed wording from its website that said it does not support Taiwan independence. Washington says the change was part of a routine update. China, which claims the democratically governed island of Taiwan as its own, urged the US to, quote, correct its mistakes. The fact sheet on Taiwan, updated last week, retains Washington's opposition to unilateral change from either Taiwan or from China. But, as well as dropping the phrase, "we do not support Taiwan independence," the page added a reference to Taiwan's cooperation with the Pentagon Technology and Semiconductor Project. It also said the US will support Taiwan's membership in international organizations, quote, where applicable. Beijing regularly denounces any international recognition of Taiwan or contact between Taiwanese and foreign officials. Chinese Foreign Ministry spokesperson Guo Jiakun.
The revision of the fact sheet on US-Taiwan relations by the US State Department, which seriously regressed its position on Taiwan-related issues, seriously violated the One China principle and the 3 Sino-US joint communiques, seriously violated international law and basic norms of international relations, and sent a seriously wrong signal to the Taiwan independent separatist forces. This is another example of the US side's stubborn adherence to the wrong policy of using Taiwan to contain China.
The website update came roughly 3 weeks after US President Donald Trump was sworn into his second term in the White House, and one analyst said this reflects a shift in the Trump-era priorities. The US, like most countries, has no formal diplomatic ties with Taiwan, but is its strongest international backer. Taiwan's government rejects Beijing's sovereignty claims, saying that only the island's people can decide their future.
Galera, ó, primeira vez que eu tô vendo isso aqui. Se liga nessa nuvem. Olha isso. Colorida.
No, gente, esta estructura es impresionante. Es Uruguay. ¡Oh! Estamos en Uruguay, en Río Negro. Observen en la zona de la bóveda, donde cae granizo grande. Allá adentro estamos.
Patrick, that's going to be what we believe to be the tornado here in Columbia. You're looking back toward between Broad Street and Church Street around East Avenue. Law enforcement is reporting that there is some kind of debris.
Вот такая карусель на Тихвинке. Запрыгнуть бы туда, покататься, покрутиться.
A terrifying and very unusual scene for Southern California, the moment a tornado passed through Oxnard, ripping the roof and carport from this trailer home community. It happened Thursday, hitting the Ocean Air mobile home community and neighboring Country Club mobile estates. About a dozen homes damaged in the tornado's wake.
All of a sudden, it's like the sky opened up. The rain just gushed down. You could hear the wind pick up. The coach started shaking, and I looked to my right and something flew by. It was huge and white, realizing that it was the porch awning.
I wasn't expecting to see the roof off, the awnings, broken and missing. And it was just crazy. I don't have house or home insurance for anything just because I couldn't afford it.